All right. So a very good evening and welcome to episode 3 of the GMP webinar series. So for those of you joining us for the first time, a little bit of background. So through this webinar series, we connect with our alums and seniors who have either moved on to their partner school or are already, they've completed their stints and are now working with leading organizations across the globe. So actually, GMP is like a very tight knit and a family like community, which is why we like to come back to our roots and have constant check-ins with each other. And of course, in the process, it's a very good opportunity for juniors like me, and also everybody in the audience who's just starting out. So we gain from their experience, and our journey is much more easier than theirs was. So I am Zeel Raichura, and I am going to be a host for the evening. A little bit about me. So I'm a part of the current GMP June cohort, and I will be moving on to EBS Germany for my MSc in Finance. And I'm basically a qualified cost and management accountant and a CFA level 1. After that, I joined Unilever, and I was working with them on their accounts payable portfolio for the United Kingdom and Ireland geography for close to 3 years. And I was working directly with the directors and VP in that team. So it was like a really good experience. And somewhere along the way, I felt saturated and I felt that it was the right time for me to move on and take the next step, the MBA step. And therefore, here I am. And today, the guest of honor is Miss Neha Prakash. So, before we begin, I have to tell you a little secret. So, while I was going through Neha's profile, I got my hands on her CV, and boy, was I in for a surprise. So, she graduated in 2016 from NIT Jamshedpur with a bachelor's in electronics. And I kid you not, there has not been a time since where she was not involved in multiple parallel projects. So hers is one of the most impressive and the busiest resumes I've seen. I have to say, I could not help but feel awe and pride to have such an inspiring role model who makes me feel like the sky is the limit and anything is possible if you put your heart to it. So, from finance to HR to analytics, she had done it all. We will learn about her secret sauce in a minute, but before that, a little bit about her current stint. So Neha is a GMP 2019 alumni, after which she joined the Stevens Institute of Technology in New Jersey, and now she's working with Blackbox, a leading IT solutions provider based out of Texas. So please join me in welcoming on board Neha Prakash. Hi Neha, how are you doing today?
Hi Zil, thanks for the introduction. I am doing good. What about you?
Yeah, I'm doing good as well. Thank you. So, Neha, to start off with, like, I know that you have had a very diverse stint in the past 5 years. So, walk us through your thought process and motivations of, trying out so many fields before making a choice.
Yeah, definitely. So the main motivation has been to understand what the market demands and what my peers are doing. So I always try to learn from them. And as you mentioned that I have tried various fields. So whenever I go to a corporate or to an institute, so I see what my peers are doing in terms of like they are from diverse backgrounds. So what's there in it for me to learn and what I can do to incorporate those skills so that I excel better in my career. Before starting my GMP, I was in TAPME. I started my MBA in HR over there. I did my 1 year and I completed my internship. Eventually, I realized that HR is not something I want to do in long term. So I came across this SPGMR GMP course, which was aligned with my career goals. Like I was from technical background and I wanted to do something that's a combination of technical as well as management roles. So I wrote my exams again and I got admission to Stevens Analytics MBA course. So I would say that was a very risky decision, but I'm actually proud of that decision because I'm enjoying the role which I'm doing currently at Blackbox, and I enjoyed studying at a GMP as well as Stevens. So that was a good combination of course, I would say, because whenever I say to anyone I'm an MBA graduate, they ask, okay, so that's great. So how long did it take to complete your course? I always tell it's just a 1 year course at Stevens because we did a lot of course at SPG and it actually helped to complete in 1 year and start looking for job along with the course load because in states like there's so much of competition because we don't
Hmm.
have a concept of campus placements here.
Right.
So that was very challenging, and the GMP course actually helped to
Hmm.
ease out the academic pressure here and to focus on upskilling and the job search.
That's good to know, and I think it's a very bold move to leave an MBA which you're already 1 year into, and then completely switch your field. So, like, kudos to you for that, and I'm sure like you are very happy where you are right now.
Yeah.
So, tell us, how did GMP exactly nurture you for your Stevens path abroad?
Sure. So, since my course was analytics MBA, so I could say like I covered both the part of the subjects at GMP. Like for analytics, we had technical subjects, art, business analytics, econometrics, some statistic subjects. For MBA, I had like lot of subjects from HR, finance, operations, supply chain, marketing. So the combination of subjects that was there at GMP helped me a lot to decide which subjects I want to go for at
Right.
Stevens, because our advisor was very flexible to allow us to choose the subjects we want to pursue. And it was very easy to understand, okay, this is subject I'm studying at Stevens. I already had a background over there.
Right.
So it was also useful to be ahead of the other peers from non-GMP because they were trying to understand the concepts and we already had
Okay.
those subjects in the 6 months. And
Yeah.
even I carried all my notes from GMP.
Yeah.
So I used to revise them constantly to keep myself updated that I'm not forgetting them. And it actually
Yeah.
helped in my job search too.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, and like you said, like I'm in the middle of GMP myself, and I'm starting to feel, the heat and the rigor of it in a good way. So definitely. So did it place you like in a position of competitive advantage over your peers, or how did you find yourself in comparison to the class at Stevens?
Yeah, it definitely helped me also, particularly I would say, as compared to other students, because whenever professor was teaching or giving assignments, it was always easy to understand them at one go. Like I just had to go through the materials once and start working on the assignments, the projects, and I got sufficient time to focus on upskilling myself. Like I did research projects under the professor. I was also part of club, and I also worked on attending various career fairs and job search. So I got sufficient time to focus on other aspects as well, where I could work on my own development professional, enhance my skills. So I got a time in, like in 1 year it was easily manageable because I already
Okay.
had that rigor back in India and I had already covered all those subjects.
That's great. So I guess you would have had the time to enjoy the social life also over there,
Yeah,
since
that's
you're
true.
going to a new country.
Yeah. So that got restricted to some amount because when I came here, the pandemic happened. So 3, 4 months I could not go out a lot. But yeah, eventually I started going out and it was quite manageable, I would say.
Right. That's nice. So, Neha, coming a step behind, I want to understand like when you quit TAPME, what were your so you felt that you need to look for a different MBA program, right? So, what was your search process like? What were you looking for in a newer MBA program, and how did you narrow down on GMP?
Sure. So when I was in TAPMEs, I had a subject of HR analytics in my like end of first year. That is where I understood analytics is something that I want to pursue in my future. I browsed to the various courses, then I came across the SPGM or GMP, which had the requirements of a CAD, ZAT, GMAT, and GRE. I knew at that time because I was not prepared for GMAT and GRE, I will go for CAD or ZAT. I wrote the exam again. Then I talked to all the seniors and the alums of GMP because a US partnership was relatively new. I could not contact many of the US seniors because like 2 years back it started. Then I contacted the seniors from Europe, understood their perspectives, like why, because that was a major decision for me, like investment of 1 year of time and money, and then
Right.
going abroad.
Right.
In that case, it was like quite a tough decision because it took me a month to finalize. I was still doing my HR internship from TAPME and trying to connect with various seniors. I talked to I got 20, 30 seniors, I would say, over calls, over texts. And then I realized, okay, this is something I want to pursue. And always the GMP course had like good faculty from SPJ and teaching the subject. So I think that that's the best thing I'm doing. And also I realized that the MBA course in US is actually very costly. Through GMP, I'm getting at a discounted rate because I when I talk to like I searched and talked to various friends who were studying in US. So I understood like this is a very good deal and I'm getting a lot of exposure from both the courses. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was the thing.
That's nice. So indeed, I think you get the best of the both worlds when you go through GMP and then the partner school. Right. And were you also independently looking at colleges directly in the US, or was it only through GMP?
It was only through GMP because it I was already studying, so I didn't have too much of time. And this course attracted me a lot, understanding what I have to study and what are my future prospects. So I thought this is the best thing to go. So I just tried for GMP and I applied to like other partner schools as well. But as Stevens was my first choice, considering the location and the course duration and the courses that were there. So I would say Stevens was my first choice.
Right. And that's great to know. And so tell us a little bit about your time at Stevens. Like, what did you think of the faculties over there and the peer group in terms of peer-to-peer learning is a very important part of MBA. So, how was your
Right.
classroom experience like over
Sure. So during this course of 1 year, I we went to college like just for a one and a half month. But yeah, Zoom interaction was always there, and I also used to go to my friend's place, or we decided a common point to do the assignments just to uh, interact with the other teammates in person. So the previous analytics MBA batch, just one semester back, they had the diverse groups like Americans, Chinese, some Indians. So
there?
it was really useful working in a teams of different people and different countries because they had their own way of thinking. So that was the one thing. And faculty, I would say the academic rigor was not that rigorous, but yeah, the faculties were very like the professors were very helpful. They were very approachable, even though it was Zoom based and it was virtual. So whenever I used to mail them like I'm stuck with this problem or this concept, so they used to help us. And they also had this doubt clearing sessions, so that was useful and it was very friendly way, I would say. And since I took subjects from uh, different majors like BIA and MIS, so I interacted with those faculty and the students. So I could say I interacted with a lot of students and the
Yeah.
professors were very helpful.
Yeah, that's I think very important because, like you said, I think how involved a faculty is in your entire education journey really changes the tone of your MBA and the entire experience. Because, like even I think from my experience, I can say that faculties which are not involved, or in my earlier programs where like you're just left to your own, like you're then completely swimming on your own, and yeah, it becomes a different journey. So definitely, and involved faculty is a plus. And also, you mentioned diversity over there in terms of ethnicity. But if we talk about diversity in your Stevens or your GMP class, probably in terms of work experience or age, was how different was it? And yeah,
So I could say a work experience. Some of my friends are freshers, some having 3 4 years. I was in a midway of 2 years of experience, and yeah, age also varied according to the experience. It helped, I mean, like having a corporate experience and talking through that perspective, like their ideas were quite different. So it was a learning from that angle also because they know how these things work in corporate, especially the subjects like management subjects. So having that management experience prior to starting your MBA, that actually helped in because what they have experienced in the that was completely different what we studied as a theory. So that experience was relatable, and even I was able to learn a lot from the experience by working on various projects and collaborating with them on various ideas. So work experience actually helped a lot.
right. That's
And
great.
that also from a diverse sector because some from IT, some from manufacturing. So that was also useful. Okay, like and if there is analytics subject, so how they think that analytics subjects can play an important role in that industry where they work before.
That's nice. And in GMP also, of course, we spoke about how we're exposed to like a variety of different subjects which are not in our core area, and probably we're not going to study those going ahead. But do you think that, so suppose I'm a finance student, but I'm studying econometrics and coding and all of that. So do you think such skills help you in the practical world going ahead, and how much do recruiters value it?
Yeah. So I think it helps because I would say like I did analytics MBA. So knowledge of corporate finance or the basic concepts that actually helps because whenever I'm like, trying to do a sales pitch, if I understand the concepts well, so
Right.
it always relatable to them. Like even in the marketing, what I studied. So preparing a talking to the customers or preparing a presentation or understanding the concept in the corporate field, so it actually helped me a lot, and moreover understanding the company's business model. So even during the interviews, if you go through the job description or the roles and responsibilities, if we add those skills in our conversation with the recruiter, like we know this aspect, so they definitely help because they also prefer someone who has holistic approach about all
Yeah.
the corporate sides, like someone who knows like how finance works, how marketing strategies devised, how end-to-end operations is done, how human resource management is taking place. I mean, it's actually helped a lot in the recruiting process as well as understanding even currently like how I should deal with my customers, how I can understand their I mean cash flows, their
Right.
annual statements. So it's actually helping me a lot, and those ideas I can provide to my teammates, my manager. Okay, this is the analysis that I can draw through the various reports
Yeah.
that they have in place.
Yeah, that's great to know. And I think especially today, we operate like in an era of startups, and everything is becoming like a one-man machine. So I think it helps to know finance and coding and everything. And at least if nothing, it's a good wholesome picture you're presenting to any company when you go to them. So definitely, I think it's a good preparation. GMP is a great preparation for that for sure. And also coming to experiences and wholesome development, your internship experience at Stevens is very interesting. You've dabbled like in a lot of different fields, so why don't you walk us a little bit through that?
Yes, sure. So last summer I did my internship. Actually, for working in United States, you need to complete 2 semesters, that's 1 year. So I could not work before I graduate. So that the company where I worked is actually headquartered in New Jersey, but I was working for the Bangalore division because I wanted to ensure that I meet the legal requirements, and also I don't like waste my summer like that. So I could
Right.
utilize upskilling myself. So I worked in sales and market research internship, and I realized while giving interviews, because my current role is also related to my internship, which I did. So when you apply to to companies, they always prefer your recent experience, like how you have related your current master's degree with the corporate field. So
Right.
that internship was really helpful, and I found that through LinkedIn because I realized that time, even a pandemic, even finding internships in India was very difficult, and I was United States, so I could not come there. So I had to do everything virtual. I was even trying for the internships in Europe or Canada, where English speaking countries where I can try. But there are situations I could not like. I got a lot of interview calls, but eventually I got something in India, and that was very useful. Like 3 months, I could learn a lot. I would
Right.
say that was pretty hectic. I mean, working at night, but yeah, that was manageable as long as you're learning and it's helping you to build your resume. And as soon as my internship ended, I got a call, I got a product management call from Facebook because that was entirely related to my internship experience, like a week after.
Right.
So that was really useful, but I could not convert it. That's another story. But yeah, I made it to 2 rounds, and like that
Yeah.
I the entire first round was about my internship experience. So that time it didn't matter. Like I
Mm.
worked for India division, but what they considered was okay, it is something I have done recently, and they also know I could not work in United States, so I utilize that time in learning mode and enhancing my experience.
Right, of course, yeah. I think internships of any kind, you do have takeaways from that. And especially like when you can correlate it to what you're currently studying, it's even more exciting. So, Neha, I picked up on one thing you said that you got a call from Facebook during your internship, which sounds very exciting. So, I was just thinking that how easy is it for students to get, calls, interview calls from the big bucket companies like the Google and the Amazon and the Facebooks of the world?
Yeah,
And what is the preparation we must do in advance to be a good fit for it?
sure. So for the big companies, mostly as far as I've heard or I have seen, it's referral based. But in my case, I applied directly, but I got the call. So talking about resume, I would say they mostly, because it's 8 years, like it's software driven. So they look for the keywords in your resume as
Okay.
part of the job description is considered this the skills, the qualifications that they require. So it's always better to, especially for the dream companies, because Facebook is my dream company till now. Still also I will try some in future. For a dream company, especially it's important that you align your resume with the job description they're looking for, and try to network with someone in the organization, and that should happen like over a few periods of time, because they won't refer you as on the first conversation, second conversation. So first of all, you should try to find someone on LinkedIn. That the first criteria would be to find someone from your, like let's say I'm a Steven student, so Steven Salem is working at Facebook or Google. So that would be one thing. Another would be attending various career fairs where you actually virtually also you meet the recruiter or someone working at this company. And third would be trying to find someone who is the same department or same field. Like my interview was for product field. If I find someone product manager at Facebook, so that would definitely help.
Okay.
And yeah, to trying to network through that way. And also Stevens had career fairs, like Stevens LM used to come, or the industry experts, trying to engage with them and asking them questions, because in virtual career fair there are so many students, like a Zoom call 50-60 students. Unless until you ask some questions or puts your ideas so they won't recognize you because it's not
Right.
in person. That is
Right.
something that you should, I did that during my 1 year of course, even after that, before finding the job.
Right.
And talking about the after doing all this networking and preparing your resume, talking about the preparation strategy, like for Facebook, they normally look for someone whose career goals and whose views are aligned with the company's mission and values. And these companies also look for innovative ideas. Like Amazon, they look for someone who's like they have 40 leadership principles whose answers are aligned with those. So every Google looks for someone who has very technical background. So every company, they have their own criteria, but it's always useful to understand their mission, values, and what they're looking for in a candidate.
Yeah. That's great. So basically, to sum up for the members in the audience, if you want to go for the biggest companies in the world, I think, like you said, the focus should be on networking, which is through LinkedIn and through career fairs. Then your resume should have all the keywords which the companies look for, like probably like coding, and fintech and all of that. So I think those of us who are in the call right now could benefit, from starting their preparation at this moment, so that 1 year later their CV looks much better. And then of
Right.
course, yeah, and also I'm getting the sense that the companies abroad, they also kind of look for that X factor in terms of leadership skills or value
Definitely.
alignment. Yeah, so I think that's going to be pretty intuitive as well.
Yeah,
So yeah,
because
yeah, go
they
ahead.
always ask go for behavioral questions. So that's where you can always give the examples of something, the leadership you have done, even in the academic projects, if you led a group or you gave some innovative ideas. So
Right.
it's always better to prepare your answers beforehand. You can tweak your answers as per the questions. So I
Yeah.
always advise my juniors to prepare a few 10-15 answers based on the questions that they could ask. And accordingly, you can like tweak your answers, do some
Mhm.
alteration when it's asked,
Right.
but you have your situations ready. So you can
Right.
always answer the situation based on your current work experience, based on your academic experience, and you can relate to those when the questions are asked in the interview.
Definitely. And I think for me personally, always the HR round was much more difficult than the technical round, because you know what you're going to do in the technical round. HR is when
Right.
you have to be very creative and, just really think about yourself. So, yeah, for sure.
And in
Uh,
US, Mostly in India, most of the companies they use when after I completed my undergrad, it was like first you do your technical, then it's HR. For some of the companies which I had interview, but in US it's the first round is the phone screen. So it's like mostly around like half an hour, I would say an average, where they understand your background. They tell you what the company does, what the role is about, and how you are a fit for the role. Then compensation negotiation, that's like another thing, so
Right.
that varies. And so that's the first thing is the phone screen. So that's where your behavioral questions help. And they ask two, three
Yeah.
behavioral questions like important decision of the life, some leadership examples, why
Yeah.
you are fit for the role. So that are the few questions that you are that happens before even the technical round.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And I think one takeaway that I have from what you said is it's very important to have non-technical and non-academic bullets as well on your resume, because you know your leadership skills or how good of an orator are you. The soft skills is what ultimately sells you, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, definitely. Like if one thing that you know I want to tell everybody in the audience right now is also to start working on the resumes right away. So yeah, that is a one thing. And also since we're on the topic of internships, I wanted to know how supportive was Stevens, since places outside India do not have the concept of placements. You completely rely on your alumni or your college support team. So what was that experience like?
sure. So before I came before 2020, so Stevens career fairs used to be in person, and the companies used to come and like they used to shortlist from college itself, and they had the other rounds at their offices or whatever was convenient for them. During my year, everything went virtual. So even they have to do the shortlist, they do through the career fairs because they have an option of doing like you do 5 minute video call or you during the career fair itself. So if they like your profile or your conversation, so it was always advisable for career sale to have your elevator pitch ready. So whenever you're texting someone, so you just have it ready and just copy and paste it. Like I mean, you can modify it. So have the templates ready beforehand. You sort the list of the companies who are coming for the career fair. So that was very helpful from the college side, and also they helped in a resume preparation, cover letters, how you draft your emails. Even for Facebook interview preparation, I got help from college, like how I should uh, like reply to answers. Like they know how students have done in the past. So the questions and answers, how should I do that? And also they used to guide me on the various websites I should look for before applying to. So we always had this option of contacting them whenever we need some career guidance and how we should do networking and how what should be our strategy. So I always used to check with them if I'm going right or not, if I should follow this. So even after graduating and getting a job of this 5 months period, it was very, I mean, very, I would say very hectic, and also trying out various strategies. So they always used to guide us, okay, this is the right way, or this is not the correct way you're doing. You should modify your strategy. So the guidance factor was always there.
Right, that's wonderful. And also coming to the specific of the situation, I believe Blackbox is your first job out of the college after Stevens.
Right.
So how did you land that? How was that journey? You know, like to actually landing the job.
Sure. So means I graduated in December, my job started June, and actually I had offer from May, but they started off late. I would say it's a very like long process because my interview started in April and they take 1.5 months is the entire process. So you have to be very like keep patience and keep applying to other companies, because even what happened was for the few companies in starting before getting the black box, I realized okay, I made to the final round, I'm getting positive feedback, so I normally like slow down. But when I could not get the offer because everything went well, so you never know like what's there in their mind, who are the other candidates. So it's always good to keep trying unless until you get the official offer letter. So that is something I realized throughout my journey, and it's a time taking process because they have multiple rounds. So it takes around a month. For big companies it's around 1.5 month also, because they give buffer time to the 2 rounds. So it's always a time taking process, and you have to keep upskilling yourself, you have to keep yourself energized, and also ensuring that you don't give up, because
Yeah.
it's like a time taking thing, I would say. And also there's a pressure of like you to get a job in 90 days or this that, so that always keeps like troubling us. So what I did was to stop my EAD. Like EAD is something we're going to start working, so you have to find a job within 90 days. So I had already contacted my professor beforehand, in case if I don't land a job in 90 days I could start something under their guidance, because that's also considered as an employment, even if it's volunteer or it's paid. So it's always good to keep in touch with a professor, because you have to stop your clock period in the worst case if you don't get a job. But in my case I got before 90 days, but I worked with professor also for a month. So it always beneficial to keep options open and understand, okay, what will the consequence and what are the rules and regulations. That's all. That's important to keep in mind apart from your upskilling and doing job search.
Right. So, also, like, so the college is also very supportive. I think they, like you said, that they offered you an internship under them during your job search process.
Yeah.
So, is the college also routinely considerate of all immigrant students, probably, so that they can their stay back is made easier?
Yeah, I mean they are very supportive, but because there are so many Indian students, Stevens, so it's also our responsibility to be proactive and be in contact with professors. Okay, if something doesn't work out, so before 90 days, I have something to work under their guidance. So it's always, and also some of the career sales, they also used to send me job links. They used to connect me with the companies and recruiters. So it's always being important to be proactive, because it was everything was virtual, and if they don't know all of us and they can't remember because we can't meet them in
Right.
person. So I would say they were very helpful. And also important that we also keep in contact and try telling them what we are doing and keep updating them.
Definitely makes sense. And also, I understand there is something called a STEM program in
Hmm.
the US. So, could you help us understand what exactly it means and what are the benefits?
Sure. So when it comes to MBA degree, MBA in general is a non-STEM because the management course. STEM is like science, technology, and engineering, and mathematics. But analytics MBA comes under STEM degree. So you can work for 3 years without getting H1. If you don't get even H1B, you can work for 3 years. For non-STEM, you can just work for 1 year. You need to have an H1B, or as if you have to leave the country, if you want to continue, go for another course or do some higher level degree. So I believe like 3 years is a good time. In the worst case scenario, if you don't get H1B, you have sufficient time to get a return on investment and experience. So I believe STEM and IIT's MBA was a good choice, because whenever I say anyone like my course is STEM, they're like, okay, is MBA STEM? Then I tell them it's analytics MBA. So
Yeah.
that was the best part of it. I have 3 years of time to get my return on investment, and obviously I will wait for my H1B next year to get approved. But yeah, I do have 2.5 years time to
Right.
get enough experience and earning, I would say.
Yeah. So, definitely, it sounds like a good thing that, when you have the benefit of a STEM program, it's just a lot of heat off your back, right? That you don't have to worry about the next lottery or whether or not you're going to be here next year. So, definitely. And what was the visa process like for you in terms of applying from India? And was it very tedious? Because I hear the visa interviews are very particular.
Sure.
So, how was your prep for that?
Yeah. So basically, like applying for visa, I started quite early, in the sense, in worst case, if I get rejected my first chance, I have sufficient time to go for another chance and get a slot. So the first form was DS 160, yeah, DS 160. So that was also like very extensive. So it's always important that you go through all the guidelines on the internet. You also talk to your friends, because we all were like filling out the same form. So we discuss with each other, went through the guidelines, and some of them they have had some consultants. One thing was to go through that guidelines, keep all the documents ready, because once you get the appointment slot, you should be ready with the documents. Like in my case, my dad was sponsoring, so his bank statements, his income details, and like my offer letter, all my documents should be ready in hand. And during the interview process, it's always important that you keep your documents handy. In this case, like, okay, how much, because whatever is mentioned I-20, they expect that much amount, even though that's a bigger amount that actually cost, because the living expense that they had in I-20 is very much more than we actually spent. So they expect us to have that much account in the bank statement, either through loan or through your own savings or the family earnings. So if it's a loan, so you should have your offer, like loan sanction letter ready. If your family savings, so your parents or your own bank statement. So, and also I kept my IT returns, my father's IT returns, because I kept every documents ready. And you should have it handy in the way that if they ask you, you should be able to provide them. Like you keep your passport, I-20, savings form in like very handy, because the first thing that they ask for, and all the financial documents ready. I mean, to be very accurate in why you're going for Stevens or Antics MBA course, you should have your like pros list ready. I mean, like, this is the thing, this is the course that I want to do, something of that. So my interview was hardly, I guess, 30-40 seconds. So they just asked me which course, why, what's, who is sponsoring, what's the father income, and that's like 3 to 4 questions were there. But for some of my friends who had to go for another chance, it lasted long, because it was mostly around who is sponsoring them and family income. So that is something that you have to keep ready, because some of them, they also talk about their the property that they have. So it's better that you keep that value in mind, like how much it that will be in, if you do like in cash, I mean, say in USD or in a currency, how much, if it's liquidate, how much that value should be. So you should keep have every figures ready, I would say, for before going to the visa interview.
Okay, definitely. I think the interviewers do have like a radar to catch out all kind of lies. So yeah, definitely. I think it's a good idea to have like a complete idea of the profile before we go in.
Right.
So yes, that's one thing. And also, since we were discussing finances to fund the course, do we have any additional scholarships available for that which Stephen provides, so that or any other aid for students applying right now, or is it just the GMP scholarship that we get?
Yeah, so in our case, like GMP scholarship was like very high as compared to the fee that was considered. So that was the only case in our case in S. Stevens. For Brandeis, some of my friends, they got after first semester, they got the scholarship based on a financial or the merit based. So Brandeis had that option. Stevens, they already gave us so much of discount. So that was one thing. And also apart from that, you guys get on campus opportunities, so that helps in helping you in getting the living expenses done in our through our for our batch, because even I got the on-campus opportunity, but the offices were closed because it's a long process to get your SSN, and then you get start getting paid. So offices were closed, so that opportunity could not work out. So that's always their on-campus opportunity. And scholarship through Stevens for a Brandeis, they give after first semester. Even if you are not from GMP or anything, if you are like good based on your merit on the financial condition, they give scholarship. And for Maryland, I think in yeah, their on campus is gets adjusted in the fee. I have heard as of now what I know from my batchmates. And apart from all this, I have heard like there are some scholarships that are outside of the partner universities, some government Indian government scholarships that one can also search for, because I found some before applying, but their deadlines were over. So I think there are also scholarship outside too.
Right. So there are multiple options even beyond the GMP scholarship available to bring down our cost even lower.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good to know. And coming to the lighter side of things, Neha, like like what is your work life like right now? And tell us a little bit about your office experience with the Americans over there. How is it like working with them?
So I compared to working back in India and working here, I would say this experience is really great, because it's like 9 to 5 means 9 to 5, and it's pretty chill. I mean, during the meetings, they talk about things like, okay, what's your long weekend plan? What's you're doing in general? How is it going? So like in my case, I don't know driving, so 2 days back we had a team outing with my manager and my teammates. So the first question they asked was, okay, so when will you start learning, which are the schools that you're trying? So they keep you asking about the other things, like how you're settling here in new state, because I last month I moved here, and about my other teammates, okay, how is their life going. I mean, some of them, they also talk about their relationship things, or like it's pretty chill. You can talk everything with your manager as long as your work is done. And even if you go to a bar or a restaurant, you you talk about your work, you chill, you have your food, drinks, everything. So it's like a mix of work and social life is also there, and you can be very I mean, chill with them. And it's not always work thing. You can always discuss, okay, you're facing these issues or how you want to go ahead. In my case, I had this preference of like I am currently in IT sales role. I want to move to like analyst. So I talked to my manager. He's like, follow your passion, do what you want to do. So he talked to the manager of analytics team, and they had this internal interview yesterday. So they are always very supportive of your career choice, and they always ensure that you're progressing well, and eventually the company will benefit from that also.
Right. Yeah. So on that topic, we did discuss yesterday how of you're looking for an internal switch. So it just makes me curious, how easy is it to switch companies, probably, or even fields for that matter. Like probably if your area of graduation is not in analytics, but you're interested in that. So how supportive are organizations of that switch, or do you get any support in terms of that?
Yeah. So you're talking about switching between companies or within the
Yes,
company?
between companies, within companies.
Yeah. So within the company, it depends on like how you have been so far with your current role, because we had like in-person training 2 weeks before. It's virtual, but sometimes you meet in person. So that time I had a good discussion with the manager. Like he liked my training assignments and everything. And then we had this team dinner, and so it was a good type of engagement. So I convinced him about my interest. Talking, so it depends on the company policy and how well you perform, how is your interaction with your current manager, because they have trained you, right? It's my 11th week at my office. So they have trained me in my current role, so they expect me to work in that, but they also understand, okay, if I can be better suited for another role, why not? So that's one thing. And talking about switching with I mean, to another company, so a degree, or yeah, degree does matter, but there are some companies, even for like entry level roles, they look for your interest. Like even if you're not an analytics student, you do have data analysis skills, right? So if you are able to prove that skills during your interview, that definitely helps. Because what I have seen here, more than the education requirement, it's more of your experience and your skills, how well you demonstrate that. Once you get the call, it's everything based on the interview, how well you perform in the interviews. There are in most of the job description, I would say it's like just a bachelor degree is required, master's is preferred. Even for some of the descriptions, that bachelor's or equivalent experience. So they are not too much like, okay, you should be a master's student, because for us, like Indian students or immigrants, we do masters to get a job here, but they prefer more of your experience, and if you have any certifications or your skills that you can demonstrate during the interview.
Yeah, that's good to know, because I think one thing which is really different between India and abroad is that in India it's entirely a numbers game. Like the higher the numbers are on your CV, the better your chances are of getting in, which in a way is very unfair, I believe. So I think it's really a level playing field, and everybody has equal opportunities abroad. In terms of, because a lot of different factors are at play when you're going for a job role, like personality, soft skills, your will also for that matter is given equal preference. So I think that's a huge plus.
Yeah, and here it's like even if you don't put your GPA on the resume, it's totally fine. Like they don't ask for your, yeah. And
Okay.
even professors, even academic curriculum is not that rigorous, so it's always easy. It's easy to get a GPA because it's absolute not relative, and professors are very like chill with it. But their main focus is that you learn, you work on your personality development. There's a focus even for your colleges. So like in India, it's totally opposite. Like it's too much of competition of getting a GPA, and that's what company sees, from where you studied, how much you scored. But here it's like how much you know that matters.
That's wonderful. Um, all good things they have. So we're almost at the end of our conversation. But before I let you go, I want you to give us one piece of advice for all of us who are starting on our MBA journey right now. What do you think we should know?
Yeah, definitely. So talking about SPJ and rigor, I would say don't get stressed because it actually helps. I mean, keep your timetable ready and ensure that your health doesn't get affected because that is something that's important. When I was in TACME, I faced a lot of health issues. That's my personal experience. So I would say ensure that your health doesn't get affected because there's too much of rigor there. And I would say like talk to your peers. I mean, they're very experienced. If you struggle with something like some of my, like you mentioned, your CFA level one, some of my batchmates were CFA students.
Yeah.
So I used to interact with them for finance related doubts. It's always better to work in groups, study in groups, uh, keep enjoying also,
Yeah.
and also try to learn more and more. In my case, I participated in various other B school competitions. I was also part of like Abhyudaya. So that's my personal thing that I keep doing apart from my regular curriculum. But what makes you interested, what makes you keep learning and ensure that you are getting the best out of where you are investing your time. So that would be the one thing. Another would be keep networking because even what I did was I started talking to recruiters or the students here before coming to US itself in SPGen. So like I know, like I kept people in for like, okay, I'm coming to US. Okay, what should I do next?
Right.
So that also helped me in planning because 1 year is something that easily goes away. I mean, you don't understand. I mean, so
Yeah.
I've already get an idea. Okay, what should I do after I land in US? So I would say keep networking, keep studying, keep focused, and don't stress too much.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Definitely, I'm going to write it down and stick it on a post-it. So good to know. Thanks, Neha. Thank you for your time, and it was really good speaking to you.
We can open the floor to for question and answers.
Yeah, I could see so many questions. Sorry. Okay. How should I should I answer all the questions in the chat?
So yeah, I'll ask them to you.
Mhm.
What I see here is how is the accommodation challenge dealt with in US for Indian
Yeah,
students, and does SCGM help?
yeah. Experience definitely helps because I could see the Pali ma'am and I was posting in the group like, okay, that senior is moving to I recently like one of my seniors moving Jersey City, so let's connect with let you guys connect whoever in Jersey because my entire group is in Jersey only. So definitely it helps because they help in connect because ma'am and all they help in connecting the people who are staying there. And finding accommodation US initially I found it difficult because there are different Facebook and WhatsApp groups, but you don't know how the place is gonna be there before you land there. So yeah, and some of them they definitely ask for deposit beforehand, and you're not sure. Okay, you have to send that much amount. Like if it's like $400, $500 for Indian currency is too much to send beforehand. But yeah, definitely, I would say Facebook groups and WhatsApp would definitely help. That you have to rely eventually, that's the only thing. And you can always try to like talk to the person's like flatmates like, with whom you are sharing a flat. Okay, if they are students, so which course are they? So more you talk, you get an understanding. Okay, this is the right place you can stay. In my case, I stayed in hotel for 2 weeks because Stevens had a partnership with one of the hotels with a discounted rate. So I was not open to go to a place before actually seeing it. So I stayed in a hotel for 2 weeks. And some of my juniors, they also tried for Airbnb, but it depends person to person. And some of my batchmates, they went look for temporary accommodation because the time we came here, it was like a Christmas break or the winter break. So Indian students, they went to India and they sublease their place so for a month. So my friends did stayed temporarily for 15 days or a month there, and they found out a permanent accommodation. So there are various ways which students try, like finding temporary accommodation, staying in a hotel or Airbnb, or eventually land up fixing a place from there itself. So it varies from person to person. Or if you know someone, like I would say that like, juniors are coming, so they know us, they know other batchmates, so we can always help you understand okay, how well the place. We can talk to the person with whom you're going to stay. So we are always there to help you with that.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, for the batches right now, it's much easier because I have literally done nothing except just ping my senior and I've asked him to keep everything ready. So that is the extent of my preparation. So yeah, definitely for us now, it's much easier thanks to you. So ma'am, now there are a few admin related questions regarding scholarship.
Mhm.
What is the maximum scholarship we can get?
I think there are a few questions that probably I would be able to answer
Yeah.
better because Neha could
Yeah.
handle the Stevens question. So somebody has asked about the cost of SPJMR. The GMP cost is 6,50,000 plus GST. Partner school fee will depend on the course and the duration, as well as which school you're going to. So Brandeis, as Neha had also mentioned, offers up to 100% scholarship. Other schools give a flat scholarship, nearly close to 50% to all the students. But you always have an option of going there and studying. Like, once you start your studies, you can start working on campus for around 20 hours a week, Neha, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
20 hours a week during semester and 35 during summer break.
Summer break. And it depends, like, you could do something as simple as, serving in the cafeteria, working in the library, or you could be a teaching assistant or a RA. So depending on what kind of work you're doing, you'll be paid. And most of our students actually manage to take out their, expenses, living expenses taken care of like this. And how Neha had mentioned, you need much more amount to show for the I-20. Your actual expenses are much less. And because your seniors are already there, they've, like, kind of found out economic places to stay, to shop from, and to, economic ways of traveling and going on holidays. So they are your Google for all that. It'll be much easier for you guys. Neha was from the very first batch, so of course it was a little difficult for these guys. And here on, things get really good. Stevens, that for that matter, every partner school is very, very flexible until unless you're like going for a course, like if you're going to USC or you're going to Maryland, where you exactly know that you want to go for a quantitative finance or a supply chain specialization. You don't have much choices, but Stevens and Brandeis that ways are very, very accommodative. You can actually go there and switch your courses also. So there's a lady called Rati Thakur who's an alumni of ours. She actually went from here to do a course and then she ended up doing a double degree. So, the college are very, very flexible because it's not only about the students that are joining them through GMP. It's a very long-standing relationship amongst the partners. So you benefit a lot from there. There was another question from Ajne where he's asking that only studies, like only skills. Of course, skills matter, but if you want to go to US and work, either you have to be like, employed by a company, they take you in, but otherwise, if you want to go there, you'll have to study and only then you can start working. So, if you're a US resident, it's different. But for Indians, I think studying, and that's the way. First, you go to that country, study, and then you start working there. And being a commerce graduate is actually very good for you because you'll have a lot of grip on your finance courses. You can look at something like a finance specialization. If there's anything you want to discuss, you can always call me up. I'll put my number there. Uh, I'll you can
Yeah.
download. Yeah, sorry.
No, no, go ahead.
So scholarship I've answered. Then somebody was asking about MS and MBA. So the brochure can be shared. You can go through the details. And I'm putting my number here. If anybody has any queries, please feel free to call me up.
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. Like one of my batchmates, Vatsalai, yeah, he's from commerce background and he landed internship in SAP. That's a very good company. So he did analytics MBA. I would say he tried, like he managed to do it and he did really well.
Yeah, because what happens is then we see that most of our students are engineers. And when they
Yeah.
come, they have a mental block against finance and accounts and all that. So it's the same way. So you have some privileges and some advantages, and those guys have some advantages. So
Mhm.
also, I would say what works well when you're here in GMP, it's a close knit family. We're not a very big, young 11-year-old course. So we are growing together. So in the same way, the students who come here, they're going to different colleges. So one person might be good in a communication, the other is good in finance, the other is good in maybe stats. So you help each other, you grow together.
Right.
And if I'm not wrong, I think a lot of the students after they have graduated, also they are connected with the SP faculty and they help them how to prepare for the interviews and how to solve problems. I've like heard people saying, "Ha, this person is interviewing for this particular company. मैंने उसको help किया." So the profs are more than willing, and it. So the background what you get here in GMP really helps you. How Neha mentioned, she had her notes and she would go through and keep herself updated. So you've got a very successful example and successful alumnus here who's talking, and she'll be more than happy to answer your queries. Neha, we can share your email ID.
Yeah, definitely, ma'am. Anyone can connect with me on LinkedIn as well.
Sure. So please, you can connect with her on LinkedIn if you have any queries. The only request is please remember she's in a different time zone than you. She's working as well as she's handling her own personal, ghar ka kaam. There's no mommy to cook and serve. So please give her some time to get back to you. Sure, she'll definitely do
But
that.
yeah, definitely I reply soon. As soon as I see the message, reply.
Yeah, but please give her a little time, keeping the time difference in mind. And any other
Also, there was a question regarding MS and MBA. Sorry.
this and analytics was under MS.
If Steven has MS in analytics.
So MSc Analytics is MS in BIA. That is course name is Business Intelligence and Analytics. That's another course. And someone asked about for
Fine.
someone with a finance background. Okay, finance is done. Okay. Most of the colleges have MS other than MBA. Yeah, talking about another thing for MBA would be what I have seen here is like if someone wants to go to a management role in future, like say product management, project manager, consultant. So MBA degrees is preferred like in all the job descriptions. So once you work for 2-3 years, like for me, I have 2 years of work experience, but someone who has 4 or 5 years, that's a good advantage. But someone who has two experience, if I work for 2 more years, I can easily go to the management roles because I have MBA degree. So I would see in all the job descriptions they mentioned for manager, the MBA degree is highly preferred.
And the best thing is for Stevens MBA, you actually don't need any experience right now. So you can
Yeah,
get a degree without any experience, learn on the job, and probably get an advantage after 2 or 4 years of working.
correct. Yeah, there are some freshers who are there in my batch, so that. And how to select a specialization is initially I wanted to go for HR, but can't shortlist now. I'm from technical background, I have work experience as well. So I'm not sure for which partner school or is in general for HR.
We don't have a HR specialization as of now.
Yeah. Mhm.
What you can do is, just go through the courses that we are offering for all the schools, see what excites you. The profiles of the students are given on our website. See whose profile matches. I think if you're talking about HR, maybe Neha is pretty close to what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. And you can then, just think what you want to do. How she said that she didn't find her calling for HR. She wanted to do more technical stuff. So give it some thought because my experience, what I've realized at our partner schools, it's got nothing to do. A person with 720 GMAT has got rejected, which would have never happened here because the college didn't see that person fitting into their ecosystem, and maybe the clarity as to what that person wanted to do wasn't there. So please sit, think what excites you, what makes you happy, and what you want to do for next 10 years in your life. Your
Right.
job takes a lot of your time. So if you don't enjoy doing that, it becomes difficult. So your why has to be very clear. And once the why is clear now, you manage to find a way. So once you have that why you want to do what, you can identify an alumnus, connect with them. You can write to them, connect on LinkedIn. If you have difficulty identifying, our numbers are given there. Please call us up. Divya Mahesh is there in the admissions team with us. She, myself are more than willing to help you. And we'll have another webinar on Sunday, 11 o'clock with Manoj. He's from USC Marshall. So those of you who are still contemplating on the schools, you can connect and listen to what he's saying before deciding. And it's not that you've kind of given your preferences on to us in the GMP form, so you can't change. No, it's nothing like that. Please fill the GMP form, complete that. If you are very sure about the partner school application, complete that. Early next month, October, we're going to have sessions with the partner schools as well. You can clear all your doubts there. and after that you can get interviewed by the partner schools. So
Ma'am, I have another thing to add. So whenever I see my friends or colleagues here after start working, so it's like 1 year of course, they get surprised because other courses are 2 years or 1.5 year. So in my case, like we all started earning early, like spending 2 years, and then when you 2-3 months of jobs, then you start earning. So it was actually a benefit for us.
yes, and I think the juniors will have another advantage is that a lot of you will be placed in the US and referrals will be there for them
Yeah.
for internships and all. So things only get easier once the first batch is placed.
And also what I did was I started even reaching out to professors before coming to Stevens for research work. So I got research work in the first semester. That was volunteer because professor, they didn't know me like how well a student I am, but it was useful for my resume. So I even tried to reach out to professor before coming to Stevens itself. So there are various ways where one can be proactive and reach out to as many people they want, whom they can connect, maybe the students or professors or the recruiters. So it's up to us how well we want to connect and grab the opportunity.
True. So I think Akhil has followed your footsteps. He's also working with some professor. I think he joined 3 days after joining. He posted that he's got some research work with one of the profs there.
Nice.
Yeah. So even I would like kind to emphasize on what you just said. See, the professors, there are 100 students. You know, hundreds of the students are there on campus. For them, it's not a priority that they connect. But you are looking for a job. You are looking to build a resume. It's your responsibility ultimately. You know, they make you employable, but finding employment is your, I would say, job.
I
So,
will also share my LinkedIn URL. Maybe it can help.
sure, I can also do that in case. Any other questions, please? You can always speak up. Just unmute yourself and you can ask Neha the question. I think that's it for now. Thank you so much, Neha, for sharing your details and taking out some time for us.
No problem, anytime, ma'am.
Suzy, should we call it today?
Yeah, all the best,
Sure.
everyone.
Sure. Thank you, everybody, for your time. And if you have any queries, please call us up. If you want to know something about the curriculum at GMP, Zee right now is pursuing it. She'll be able to help you. Anything related to Stevens and life after that, Neha can help you. And next week, we meet Manoj Malay from USC. And the exciting part is that he's interning with Tesla right now. So I'm sure you all are going to be keen to hear how he got in there. So we'll see you next week then. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Fine.
Bye.
Bye.